Yes, sir. All right, November 12th, 2024. Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Baird.
Here.
Mr. Harbsmeyer.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Isbell.
Here.
Mr. McInnes.
Here.
Mr. Schaefer. I have not heard from Mr. Schaefer. Ms. Templeton.
Here.
Mr. Wright. I have not heard from Mr. Wright either. You got a quorum, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. Guthrie. All right. Next item is approval of agenda. We all got that email to us. Do I hear
So
a
moved.
motion to approve? Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Ben. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Citizens or delegations present? You have your say after a while. All right. Now, we need a motion for approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mayor. Second. Thank you, Archie. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Show me abstaining because I missed the last meeting.
Okay. All right. Carolyn, how about the financial report?
Okay, if you look at the balance sheet, the investment pool has $830,000 in it. The regular bank account has $4,241,000, a total of $5,071,959.22. And then you can look at the other sheet and see the expenditures and see that we're right in line with where we should be.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Paul. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Mayor?
No report.
Attaboy. It's short and sweet. ECD Director's Report.
I mean, how do I follow that? Okay, 101 incidents since the last meeting, September 9th. Most of the new circuits have been installed that you approved a couple of months ago. I think we're just waiting on some turnup of those to be completely operational. Caliber project report. Rich has had a meeting with all of our client agencies recently to have their device set up. So just go ahead and get ahead of the game on there. Caliber, by the way, was very complimentary, and that I don't know that they've had any agencies before us to do that. So they appreciate Rich being proactive on that. CAT admin training, that is Tuesday through Friday of next week. We have 5 people that will be in that. The mobile admin training day is December 4th. We'll have a representative from everyone who will have access to mobile. And the RMS admin training will be December 17th through the 19th. So our Caliber project is moving ahead very well. Our audit talked to Dempsey, Van Treese, and Follis last week, and they think that they should have our audit done by sometime in December. So we should have that prepared for you and back to you by January. Tennessee Emergency Communications Board, there's going to be a public hearing next month on the 10th, during which they're going to propose they're going to solicit feedback on a rate increase of 36 cents. So going from $1.50 to $1.86. They'll have the public input first, and then the TCB will make a decision on whether or not they want to send this up to the legislature for their approval. This came from some other districts who are a little more financially cash-strapped than others. Some districts are paying for quite a bit more and don't quite get the input from their financial input from their local legislative bodies to assist in their efforts. So this was one of the things that prompted this request for a rate increase. We just had a rate increase a few years back. Some other members had done some checking. Alabama was at $1.86, but Alabama has the built-in, and I forgot what you call it, but the built-in where they increase their rates, on a regular basis. So they don't have to go back to the legislature and say, hey, can we have 30 cents this year, next year 40 cents. They just build that in every year, and so it keeps up with inflation, basically. Moving on, they also are looking at some changes in the distribution model to how we're funded, how the 100 districts are funded. It's a complicated process. I think the last time that they did something like this was in 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. And so the rates that we have in place today are based on 10, 11, and 12. So, a number of factors have to go into that: population, call volume, what the district actually is responsible for, and really the state gives us no guidelines on what we're responsible for other than what's set out in statute. The delivery of 911, is just given the autonomy for each district to basically run how its board sees fit. So it's going to be a lot of work for the TECB to be doing in the next couple of years to come up with a plan to redistribute the funding that is given to the districts. So just heads up, that's coming. I don't think, based on what I've heard, there's no intent to decrease anybody's funding, but looking for some way to increase the funding of the less fortunate districts. So there'll be more that comes out of that in the next few months. Lastly, we do have some expiring terms next month. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Harbsmeyer, and Mr. McInnes, their positions will be up for reappointment come January. So, Mr. Mayor, we'll have to have a conversation about that. Hopefully
Yes,
next
we
month.
will.
Hopefully next month. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Director. While I've got a chance, you're up.
All right, so, staffing right now, we are currently just short 3 positions. So of the 51 positions that work the floor, we're at 48. Retention is holding very steadily over the last year or so, Guthrie's doing a good job with that. Our next hire date for the last 3 positions, hopefully if we have some good candidates, scheduled for January. We just hired 2 telecommunicators last Monday, so they're in their initial phase of training. And of course, we continue cross-training across the floor. So our phone calls that we received in September, we had a total of 911 calls at 3,987. Administrative lines, so like the non-emergency calls, 13,586. And for October, 911 calls was 4,420, and then admin calls 14,230. Keeping pretty busy.
Yes. Anybody have any questions? Thank you. Come a long way over here in the last couple of years, haven't we, Paul?
Really have,
Yeah.
really have.
Yeah.
That number of 3 vacancies is great. Great news.
Yeah.
Just expound on that just a little bit. Calls for service. The ECC processed 20,961 calls in September and 19,400 in October. So just with that manpower that they have over there processing that many calls, and I haven't done those statistics in the past couple of years, but nearest I remember, that is on the uptick. So they're doing a lot with the same number of positions that are over there. So they're working really hard on what they're tasked to do.
All right, next item is old business.
No old business, Mr. Chairman?
No old business, so we'll move on to the new business.
Director's bond, just normal yearly bond.
Motion to approve.
There we go, thank you kindly.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Generator maintenance. So the TCB does say that we can pay for generator maintenance for the ECC. Currently, the ECC takes over that. I think at one point it was under the mayor's office, and a few years back it was moved around. Not asking yet to be able to pay for the yearly maintenance, which is around $5,000 or $6,000. However, in our last report of the folks that service the generator, it did come out that there are some repairs that they estimate to be around $4,000 to be done. And I did send you that in our packet last week. So I just need to have a conversation with the mayor and whoever else, but if possible, I would like to get approval from the board for the ECD to pay for those repairs that are coming due, as long as the county would give us that say-so also. So on a contingency, I would like to ask for your approval for me to pay up to, let's go maybe $4,500. I think the quote was around $4,000. But if I can get the approval to pay up to $4,500 on the repairs that need to be done to the generator, and I do have adequate money in the budget as it stands today to pay for that.
So moved.
Thank you, Ben.
Second.
Thank you, Paul.
Did that have labor involved in it, or is that just part?
Pretty sure that did have
I tried to look at it on my email, but I couldn't see what.
parts, labor, yep, surcharge total labor, yes, there was labor that was included in that. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Meeting dates and conferences for 2025, sent those to you. Nothing out of the ordinary there. I think everything is on the second Monday. The second Monday of each month, and the conferences are listed on there as well.
Thank you, Mike.
You need to approve that or not. I did fail to ask for an addendum to the agenda earlier. So legally, is that permissible at this point to go back and add anything to the agenda, or do we need to put that off?
Without objection, yes.
Okay. If there's no, thank you. If there's no objection, then I would like to add one thing to the agenda. It is a request for cybersecurity grant money to be spent, and I do have Rich here to talk a little bit about that.
Is that what you sent out this morning?
Yes, sir.
The quote, yeah.
Yes. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to add this
So
one
moved.
item under new business?
Thank you, Archie. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.
Thanks, sir. So if you would allow Rich to come up and just speak
Yeah,
a
come
couple
on
minutes
up.
on this,
Yes.
please.
Thank you. It's good to see everyone. So Mike and I have been looking for ways in which we can essentially increase our cybersecurity. Just the statistics alone are showing that it is increasing at least 10% year over year. In 2022 alone, it was like something along the lines of 68 to 70% of attacks were cyber attacks of some nature, and it's only going to get worse. One of the things that I found out in particular this past year going to APCO and TINA was that PSAPs are up about 40% just in the last year. They're really being heavily targeted. We purchased a firewall appliance last year that we knew was a next generation firewall appliance. We've done our due diligence and done some research on the licensing and the essentially what we need in order to be able to make it next generation, in order to be able to be more preventative rather than reactive. I don't like being reactive, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. And so this is going to allow us to do that. So with the grant funds that the state is allowing us to tap into and use for cybersecurity, we'd like to use that to purchase this licensing. And I know the term future-proof tends to get thrown around an awful lot, but that's really what this is. It's designed to put us in a position where we're ahead of the curve. We're not reacting to getting attacked, but we are actually making sure that we're not sitting ducks, basically. It's the equivalent of, if you want to kind of think of it in physical terms, we're taking our wrought iron fence and we're putting some barbed wire on it. And so I just like anything that we can add additional layers of security to our system. We're already fairly secure. I'm very comfortable with where we're at. I just want to make sure that as these things continue to increase, that we're getting ahead of it, that we're not behind the curve, basically. So that's what this is all about. Yes, sir.
I understand, was it a 5-year contract or a 5-year quote? Is that what we got?
That's what this is. This is
Okay,
a
this is
5-year
a
subscription. That's
16,
correct.
okay.
Yeah. And part of the reason we did that is obviously for we get discounts,
Sure.
the further out we go.
Pricing, violence.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And this particular firewall, this particular licensing, it has absolutely no end of support. As far as right now, it is true next generation, and it is intended to be built upon by Cisco, indefinitely right now. So that may change at some point in the future, but I think it'll be long future.
So they have,
Would be automatically updated.
Well, I'm sorry.
Would be
Say-
automatically updated.
Correct.
As things evolve.
That's exactly right. It puts us in a position to make sure that we're completely automated in that regard, so that we're not having to worry about when we get hit, having to come back and manually take care of it. Absolutely.
Is this a new company or is this a company we've been with?
No, this is a company that we've been with. Cisco it is a well-known company. We've been with them for a long time. Have a lot of their equipment actually in our center. So.
do they have contingencies built in there that despite all these precautions, somebody gets through and all of a sudden we've got to pay them $500,000 to get access back to the system?
Cisco doesn't themselves. However, we have partnerships with a couple of companies, one called Arctic Wolf and another one called Sentinel-1. They do have some contingencies built in for that sort of thing. So that in the event that we get hit for whatever reason, we can tap into their resources to be able to either find backups if we need them, which we shouldn't because we have our own, but certainly be able to mitigate these and restore things back without having to even, hopefully, having to pay out any kind of ransom to ransomware or anything of that nature. So, and I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, and I don't want to speak too much out of line, but I know that there are some coverages that insurances and things like that can help cover. I don't know how much of that personally we have, but I do know that, again, that's another avenue that we can tap into possibly. So.
Any other
Be
questions?
the ransom, give them Ben.
Good.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Mike, can you restate now what you want us to approve?
Yes, sir. So the quote for this additional licensing is $10,453.03. We're going to apply for the cybersecurity grant through the TECB, which we still have plenty of. It's a 25-75 split. So we have to pay for the entire thing up front, and then if the TECB approves, we would get 75% of that back. So I would ask for you to approve up to $10,453.03, which is already, I can spend that out of the current budget. Allow me to spend that with the intent to apply for grant reimbursement up to 75%.
Okay.
Is this a 1-year payment?
This would be, so the 10,453 would be for the 5-year licensing.
$10,000 for 5 years.
Correct, yes. Or we get the grant, then $2,600, so 5 years. Yes, sir.
Archie, you had
I move.
move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Thank
Anybody
you.
have anything else?
Motion
Mr.
adjourned.
Phillips, welcome to the meeting. Glad to have you. Mr. McKinnis, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We already did.
Well, you can second it there, Rick. Yeah.